Let's mock it up. Time for the mock draft season as we are just a couple of days away as we broadcast live, as we stream live here on a Tuesday night. If you're catching us via the podcast, remember the Two Deep NFL podcast. We stream live Tuesday nights, 8:45, 9 o'clock Central Time is when we do that. We're proudly brought to you by our friends at GAN Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's best when it comes to fixing any and all parking lot problems. Nationally recognized full service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Parking lot problems are no problem. They disappear. I've been making them disappear in Kansas City since 1994. That's what GAN Asphalt and Concrete's all about. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Find them online at ganasphalt.com or call 316-484-3338. Jeff Chadiha, Eric Eager, Soren Petro with you. Time to mock it up. Let's find out what's going on our mock drafts. We're going to pick them all. We do it next right here on the Two Deep NFL podcast.
You're listening to the Two Deep Podcast, the most complete NFL, the National Football League, breaking down the NFL like no one else can. Two Deep is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Eric Eager is the vice president of research and development for Sumer Sports. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Two Deep is proudly brought to you by GAN Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at ganasphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. GAN Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. GAN Asphalt and Concrete is now hiring for all positions: project manager, dump truck drivers, operators, and crew members. Starting pay up to $30 per hour based on experience, with paid time off and insurance, just to name a few of the benefits. Check out ganasphalt.com for more info. Now, here are the hosts of the Two Deep Football Podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro.
Back at it here on the Two Deep Podcast, mock drafting. Gentlemen, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We are going to make each and every one of the picks in the first round. But, Eric, let's start with you. Some news coming out today that had some people a little bit skittish. Bryce Young's been the consensus number one pick, so much so that we agreed that part of what we would be doing here tonight is we're not going to mess around with pick number one. We're putting number one on the board as Bryce Young because we don't think there's anybody else that's going to go there. Yet yesterday, the odds on Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky, went from 40-1 to go number one overall to 4-1. But, Eric, you see there's nothing really to see here.
No, I think, like, you had the Reddit post and you had, like, what was interesting. Well, it's basically somebody saying that they knew Will Levis and Will Levis told them to, that the Panthers told him he was going. But, I remember the Wednesday before the draft, I was at a dinner with Darius Butler and George Shahuri, Mike Renner, and like we were getting calls that Mac Jones was telling his friends that the Niners said they were taking him. So like all this stuff is kind of BS. Like I firmly believe the reports that Young is going first, to the Panthers, and I think everything else is smoke. In fact, the market number for Young hasn't declined appreciably, even while Levis has gotten shorter.
Yeah, and so we don't think that's going to be it. We all agree Bryce Young goes number one, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's where we're going to start with this is that Bryce Young goes number one, and then we're going to alternate picks, right? So it's going to go it's going to go Eric, Jeff, me. Eric, Jeff, me, each time through. So
and no trades. No trades, Eric.
No trades. And we're doing what we believe is going to happen, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're taking a shot.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So pick 2, Houston. How
are you already stumped because you can't make a trade?
No, but like I don't think Houston's trading this pick. I don't think that they will. I don't think that they will. But Right
By the
now,
way, if you're joining us on the Two Deep and you don't listen to our Chiefs podcast, which is fine if you're just an NFL fan, Eric did kind of shock the world. He had a trade up in that where we just picked the 10 picks that the Chiefs had, and he went from 31 to 9 and traded Chris Jones to get there. And there were other picks moving back and forth. And so if he picks, if right here, Eric, you take Tyree Wilson, I my head might explode.
Yeah.
Because you had Tyree Wilson
Wilson.
going 9 to the Chiefs.
I'm taking Tyree Wilson. He's the favorite right now on FanDuel.
And who's playing quarterback for the Texans?
Look, Jeff, has Houston ever answered these questions rationally before?
I give you that. I'm just saying,
I'm not picking.
Is this Mario Williams all over again?
I'm trying to be predictive here. I'm saying what I think will happen.
I agree with you.
I know you don't believe in luck, but there is variability. He could go 2. He could also go 9.
Okay. You don't hear me freaking out. I mean,
I wish we had done our podcast, flipped the order of them so we could have actually attacked him for this pick when he was making that crazy Luke Skywalker, hit the shot in the Death Star, blow it up trade he had going.
If Tyree Wilson falls to 9, I do think that there's more likely the Chiefs are like, holy buckets, we're going to move up and take him. That's my view. They're not going to move up to 2 to take him. That's where I see the distribution.
Okay. All right. So that brings us now to the next pick, which would have Jeff Chadiha selecting for the Arizona Cardinals.
This is the easiest pick of the draft. It's Will Anderson. It's since we're not doing trades, and I imagine Arizona might entertain some trades sitting where they're sitting in some of the hype around the quarterbacks, but I just feel like Will Anderson is the most no-brainer, reliable defensive player in the draft, best edge rusher. Didn't have the same year he had last year as he had the year before when he had 67 sacks or whatever it was. I think it was like 30 sacks. But, he's a really good edge rusher. He's coming from a school that produces really good defensive linemen, front 7 players. Arizona is awful on defense. This is the easiest pick I'll make.
All right. Do we agree that this is where it gets a little bit interesting, right? Like we don't have trades. I think Arizona will trade. Do you think they will trade when it's all said and done, though, Jeff?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, they're going to have a lot of interest for that pick.
The way this goes, the Indianapolis Colts have their pick of all the quarterbacks other than Bryce Young. I think they either take quarterback or edge here. The 2 best edge players are gone. So they're going to take quarterback. Anyone want to guess who I'm going to put in there?
Will Levis.
Eager?
I mean, you should be saying Richardson or Stroud, but you're going to say Levis.
Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida, goes to the Indianapolis Colts. I think they swing big for the home run. I think they also look at it and say, hey, we buy some time. The kid can run. We know that. So we're going to be able to get some first downs, move the chains a little bit there. So we make this move right here. And we know that we've at least got a guy that's going to help move the chains. And I think they don't even mind the fact that, he's might take a little bit of time because I think they're sitting here. First of all, if you're Chris Ballard, you're sitting here saying, well, my job's on the line here. Hey, well, it's going to take time. We knew Richardson was a project. This buys you a couple of years and maybe a couple of drafts. So I think from that standpoint, I think just self-preservation may lead them down the road of Anthony Richardson. So I go Anthony Richardson, quarterback from the University of Florida. He comes off the board here. That brings us back around to one Eric Eager. He is on the clock with the Seattle Seahawks. They got this pick from the Denver Broncos. Where are you going, E?
I would have gone Anthony Richardson here had he been there. I think that's the only quarterback that kind of makes sense for Seattle, Detroit, and Oakland. But since he's gone,
why don't the others make sense for them?
I don't think that you like for okay, I'm gonna be upfront here. I think Will Levis sucks, so I'm not like I don't think he makes sense anywhere close to here. I know he'll go higher, but I don't think he's worthy here. CJ Stroud to me is a guy that if you're going to draft him, you have to play him right away because he's kind of a narrow distribution guy. I don't see a big ceiling. I see a high floor. So you get him in there, You have him produce, top 12 quarterback play for 4 years, and then you move on, right? I don't think he has a ceiling there. If you're Seattle, Detroit, or Oakland, you're playing a veteran guy, so you're eating into that, right? Whereas with Anthony Richardson, you have kind of that not Mahomes distribution, but you have like possible Mahomes upside. And so the fact that he misses year one is less of a big deal if he hits the scene and is amazing right away. So to me, that's why I think he's a great fit, but obviously the Colts snatch him up. So I'm going for Seattle, Jalen Carter, defensive interior player, Georgia.
Not worried at all about all of the red flags.
Yeah, but Pete Carroll is the kind. I mean, Pete Carroll drafted Frank Clark. That Pete Carroll, Andy Reid, those are guys that are kind of nurturing, I think, to players who have some baggage.
From the Los Angeles Rams, Jeff Chadiha's Detroit Lions. Your Lions, Eric, are now Jeff's Lions because they were Jeff's Lions before they were your Lions. You've got the Lions on the clock at pick number 6. We've now lost 3 defensive players and 2 quarterbacks. The top 3 defensive players and 2 of the quarterbacks. Are the Lions looking quarterback here to the future, or are they grabbing somebody to try to get them over that hump and get in the playoffs?
I would have loved to have had Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter fall to me, but since they didn't, I will take help on the back end. They had the worst pass defense in the league. They got some help in free agency with a couple corners, traded Jeff Okudah, Devin Weatherspoon. Eric knows him so well from all these Illinois games he's been watching over the years as the best cornerback. Either he or Christian Gonzalez. I think Witherspoon is a little tougher and stick his nose in there against the run, but they're both great players. I like Witherspoon.
Oh man. All right. I think that's a highly likely pick for the Lions. And that kind of screws up things for the Raiders because I think Jalen Carter's the dream here for the Raiders to get the defensive tackle presence. They also think they're smarter than everybody in the room and would take a guy who's got problems, and they do it all the time. And I don't know why they wouldn't do it here. So I think their dream is for Jalen Carter to just fall into their laps. I think the idea that Jalen Carter is going to be there 12, 13, 14 is not good. I definitely think the 2 edge guys go before him, either because somebody trades up. But I think Jalen Carter to the Raiders makes the most sense. I think they also need quarterback. I think they also need.
Do you think the Raiders are going to take a player who killed somebody with his car, though? Like that to me is like the one team that wouldn't take him.
Have the Raiders ever done anything that makes sense?
I'm
with you, but I get what you're saying. If there's one town in America that doesn't have time to pay attention to what's going on when it comes to, isn't it Sin City?
True. Yeah.
I'm seriously like, what kind of headlines do you think it would make around Vegas? I mean, I don't think it would make that many, but Jalen Carter's not there anyway. I think they look long and hard at the best offensive tackle. I think that's a spot that they could go, but I think in the end, they get what I think is the top corner here, and that's Christian Gonzalez. And I think they go on that side. I think you've got a head coach that knows that the one thing that his old boss always has on defense, always tries to have, is a quarterback that can travel and handle the top wide receiver on the other team. He tries to recreate that with the Raiders. Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, Oregon, comes off the board. The Raiders are happy because he's their number 1 corner. They get him at pick number 7. That takes us back to Eric Eager and his beloved Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're 8th.
I mean, look, like I think a lot of people are mocking Bijan Robinson here. I think they like Tyler Algier more than they're letting on. This is the CJ Stroud pick, right? Like if you are Atlanta and you have kind of built a weaker, like a poor man's Eagles, right? Where you're kind of strong up the middle, great offensive line, which is weird to think about since they were so bad at the end of the Dimitrov era, but he drafted McGarry and Lindstrom, both got contracts. Great running game, that kind of thing. Like I think Stroud's great here. So I'm going to go CJ Stroud to the Falcons, even though he has not, been linked to them at all.
No worries about some of the bad press he's been getting.
No, this is stupid. The S2 scores, like the S2 scores are an excuse when you want a reason not to draft a player that you already don't like.
Okay. Jeff, that takes us to you. You're on the clock with the Chicago Bears. They get this pick from the Carolina Panthers. What are the Bears looking at here? They traded down from number 1 to number 9. Where do they go?
Well, I think they would have wanted some defensive line help. Jalen Carter's gone.
Like Chris
Wilson's
Jones?
gone. Yeah, like Chris Jones. Yeah, like the. That's right.
Thank you. Makes sense.
Pro Bowl,
Makes perfect sense,
All
boys.
Pro player. Yeah, since they can't do that, they go to the other side of the line. They tried to get Mike McGlinchey, who ended up going to the Denver Broncos in free agency. I think they take a guy right in their backyard, Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle from Northwestern. Play left or right tackle. I think he'll be a left tackle, solid left tackle. He's reliable. Daniel Jeremiah, who I trust, has got him as the 8th best player in this class. I think line's got to get better. They got the skill guys. Time to beef up front.
Eric, where do you sit on Skoronski? I listened to the Sumer Sports podcast, you and Thomas Dimitrov talking about it. And, you said, listen, when your arms are that short, his arms are more than 4 inches shorter than Paris Johnson was, or DeJuan Jones, I think, had the longest arms than Paris Johnson, who were both over 36 inches. His are like 32 even almost, right? Like they're not just short for this class, they're short, period. Is that like, is the media missing and this guy's going to slide, or is he such a tactician that he overcomes it?
I think if you're the Bears and you have a lot of holes in your offensive line, you're fine, because if he can slide into guard, that's okay. Paris Johnson is the favorite to be the first offensive lineman taken, right? And I think it's growing. I think he's like minus 200 or more. So if it gets to this point, I think that Paris Johnson is probably the pick. But Skoronski's I think a player who can overcome that. To Jeff's point, I agree with Jeff. I think Skoronski can overcome some of the arm issues that he has for sure.
All right. I'm on the clock then with the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is not falling the way I think the Eagles would want it. Their needs are all over the place, but they're not tackle. And I think Paris Johnson is the best player left on the board. If you're going to take the best player available, that's where you want to go. So I think faced with this situation, they're looking to trade out, right? I think that's what they want to do. They could use some edge as well. They're getting a little long in the tooth with some of those guys. So I think that's a possibility. I'm torn with this pick because I don't see where it falls the way they want it to go. They need running back. Is Bijan Robinson actually going to go this high? Would the Philadelphia Eagles do that? I don't like where we're at. I really don't like where we're at with this. Desperately trying to trade down are the Philadelphia Eagles, but at the end of the day, they know that Jalen Hurts needs help. They want to run the ball. I'm going to hold my nose, and I'm going to hand the card in.
Wow.
He's a really good player. I think trapped in this spot, I really think they would trade down, and somebody comes up for the offensive tackle here. Could they take an offensive tackle here?
Lane Johnson would have to retire for tackle to make sense. I think if Skoronski's available and they bring him in to play guard, that makes sense. I think Paris Johnson is too Paris Johnson has like these arms that would make not make guard difficult, but would make guard less natural than Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, I don't see the wideout that warrants going here. I don't think you take a tight end this high.
I think you take Smith and Jigba, but yeah. If I was the Eagles here, I'd take Smith and Jigba. But
yeah, I think it's between Lucas Van Ness and Bijan Robinson, and I'm going to go Bijan Robinson, running back, Texas.
Soren taking a running back in the top 10 of the draft.
I mean, I don't love it. I'm going to tell you, but I really, like I said, I really think what happens here is there's a trade. I think somebody comes up and gets the offensive tackle. If they're not going to take him, somebody would be saying, we've got to get there and be trying to get to the offensive tackle. So I think it goes it's different than this, but Eagles locked in here. I think there's a good chance that they trade down and they are the team that gets Bijan Robinson. So, maybe I end up marrying up with the right guy with the right team, just not at the right spot because we're not doing trades. So Bijan Robinson from Texas, I take all the pressure off you guys. Take him off the board right now. he's a guy that would have gone top 5 years ago, and he goes number 10 in this one. Eric, we're back to you. Tennessee.
Okay, this is fairly easy now because he's fallen all the way to here. Smith the Jigba's the pick if Will Levis isn't here, but Will Levis is here. So I think you
killing
take
me,
Will
Eric.
Levis.
Killing me.
Yeah.
So Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky.
Oh, so you are going to go Levis. Okay, Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. Okay, so he comes off the board. A little bit of a slide there for him. Jeff, he's killing you because of Levis. You had Levis.
I thought that was. I thought if Levis got past Tennessee, I think Houston would take him. But now I feel like the Trey Lance rumors heat up, and the Texans end up taking Jackson Smith and Jigba with that pick at 12.
Because if they don't, the Packers will, right? So that's the.
Is there anything that they could do wrong here? I mean,
Yes.
any of the top, well, I'm saying any of the top players. I mean, what? There's no spot. They're not like the Eagles where it's like they've got good tackles, right? Like the best guy is obviously a tackle, but there's no scenario that has that. They can take a player, any one of the best players at a number of positions and be fine here, right?
Yeah. No question. I mean, they have needs all over the place, so they've already got. Well, what was that? Yeah, they took Houston. Eric had them taking Tyree Wilson. They've already got an edge rusher. I don't think they need Paris Johnson because they locked up Laramie Tunsil. And so, I mean, they need help all over the place. So Smith and Jigba to me is the most well-rounded receiver you're going to get.
Okay. I'm on the clock with the Green Bay Packers. I'm with you. Smith and Jigba would have been the pick for the Packers. And maybe in the back of my head, that's one of the reasons why I was sitting there going, maybe I didn't take him there with the Eagles because I'm like, oh, perfect fit. Get down to the Packers. That's where I'm going to go. This is another one. We sit still. Paris Johnson's still on the board, right?
Yep.
He's not going to be on the board. God, this has already become a hot mess this fast, hasn't it? Need safety, tight end, wide receiver, guard. Paris Johnson's not going to keep sliding. I'm going to hand him to the New England Patriots. You know what? Let's go. They like their weapons. They're going to get a weapon in this one for their quarterback. Dalton Kincaid, tight end. Utah goes to the Green Bay Packers.
We're already off market on 2, right? So first tackle taken, favorites Paris Johnson. We went Skronsky. First tight end taken, favorites Meyer, and they went with Kincaid. Right now Nolan Smith is a favorite to basically a plus 100 to go top 10. He's still there at 14. But he's got Josh Uche vibes, which the Patriots already have. So I'm going to go with Paris Johnson.
That's the easiest one we've had so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Patriots desperately need a left tackle, but you know what they'll do? They'll take a corner or something crafty like that. All right, so you go Paris Johnson here. Paris Johnson, again, I think will be long gone by this point, but it will be from a trade up. But okay, he comes off the board. The Jets want him a tackle, everybody says.
And that's what they're going to get.
Okay.
Broderick Jones,
yep.
Georgia.
Good
big old left tackle, but they got enough bodies down there they can figure it all out.
But with everybody, this is the thing here. Right, I do have that right. Yeah, Jets. Broderick Jones. If somebody moves up against Paris Johnson, are we sure that the Jets are going to get a tackle at 15?
Why do you think they wouldn't?
I think they will take one if one's there, but are we sure that the top 3 tackles, one of the 3 are going to be there?
The top 3 being Skronsky, Paris Johnson, and who's your third?
And the Broderick one Jones? You just took, Broderick Jones. I know.
So where would they be? Oh, if you took him at Philadelphia, but they don't need a tackle there, right?
No, but I think I'm playing it out because there will be trade ups, right? Do we agree we're not going to get to pick 15 and no one's traded up?
That's fair. Yeah, no, there's going to be, certainly, at least twice.
And
in
the
the first
thing that I
15
look
before
at
race.
the way things are going is like there's just no way Paris Johnson's there at 14. I don't think there's any way that happens. I think it's the right pick at 14, right? Like definitely, I'm not ripping the pick, but I think he's going to go in the top 10. And so I think the Jets are interesting because they're at 15, and everybody has them taking an offensive tackle, but they're going to get the fourth best offensive tackle. I think if they're taking him, if they can, Darnell Wright would be the guy. But do we think there's a big drop off from the first three to right, or is it the first four on down? Like I think this is just a spot where I think there's going to be activity, and I don't know that the Jets' perfect plan of getting their quarterback and then getting a guy to protect him works out.
Well, let's ask Eric, the PFF simulator expert, about that one. 'Cause I feel like I don't see where anybody we've picked already would not be. You can question Skoronski not being with the Bears instead of Paris Johnson, but you still have him. You just replace him with what New England did, right? He goes to New England.
Mm-hmm.
I just think somebody from further down's coming up to get the offensive tackle. All right, I just think this whole like the whole national media narrative of like they got Aaron Rodgers now they're going to get their tackle.
Yeah.
I don't think it plays out that easily. All right, I'm on the board now with the Commanders, and I think the Commanders need defense. I think the depth is there at the position. I think they take cornerback Joey Porter Jr., who's one of the top corners in this. Who knows? Maybe somebody thinks he's the number one corner, but I think they go Joey Porter Jr. At cornerback from Alabama, or no, Alabama,
Penn State
or Penn State, yeah. I was looking at safety. I think they could take, but they're another team that could kind of take whatever. I think I think they're a team that might move up and get the offensive tackle to try to make things better. But the way it sits right here, I'll take Joey Porter Jr., Penn State.
I think this is a place where Bijan Robinson goes if he falls. Like I think, they've
to the Commanders or to the Steelers where you're up now.
Commanders. Najee Harris is already a pick, first round. You've already made that mistake. The Steelers are an interesting spot, right? Because they just took quarterback. They've surrounded him with some weapons. Offensive line, like look, Nolan Smith, Kalia Cansey are both two guys that I think could go here. Nolan Smith should be gone by now. I don't know why. I think honestly, Jeff with the Lions pick probably should take him or Kalia Cansey there. I'm gonna go Darnell Wright though, because I think that they need to protect the quarterback that they just drafted last year. So Darnell Wright, tackle Tennessee.
Okay, he comes off the board. We're back to Jeff, who gets his beloved Lions again. Gets to make amends. Where are you going now?
It would be very eagerish to take Hendon Hooker here and say I'm going to sit in behind Jared Goff for a couple years and have him take over when he's 35. But I'm instead going to go with the pick, the name Eric just threw out there, Nolan Smith. A freakish athlete who can play opposite the big guy, Aiden Hutchinson, who was one of the best rookie defenders in the league last year. I think if you get those two guys, if you get Devin Witherspoon and Nolan Smith in the same draft, you've just upgraded your defense tremendously and made the NFC North your bitch for the next 5 years.
Look at Jeff just like leaning into the restoration of the roar here. Love that.
Yeah.
I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need everything under the sun.
They've had a good offseason, by the way. Hey, can we pause with the Brady thing obviously happening to them? Like, I think they've made a lot of great moves. Jason Light has had a good offseason. No one's going to talk about it because they're going to go 5-12. But, like, I think they've done a good job, frankly.
I think they would love for an offensive lineman to fall to them and give their quarterback a chance to have some time and start building the setup for the future at the quarterback position. But I think at the end of the day, you've got a defensive head coach. I think they're going to listen to him. I think the choice is going to be somebody along the defensive side. Who is it that they want, that they value? What's their flavor of the month? I am going to go. I think they literally could take everybody. I'm going to go Miles Murphy, defensive end, Clemson. to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eric?
2 edge players the last 3 drafts. Well, actually, the Bucks' last 3 first picks were Joe Tryon, edge, who was the guy last year they picked at 33 after the trade back, was a kind of an interior guy from Houston, and then this guy. Interesting, they just kept building the lines, but their defensive line has gotten old. This one to me feels like this kind of guy. Look, he doesn't have the outside game that Michael Bennett had, but he's got the inside game. He's got the speed and all that stuff. Kalaya Cansey, defensive interior, Pittsburgh, very smallish guy, reminds people.
By the way, we should point out the Seattle Seahawks are who Eric's. I didn't know if you were analyzing my pick or making your pick for the Seahawks.
I'm sorry, Soren. Sorry. So the Seattle Seahawks with their second pick in the first round take an interior defensive lineman. No, actually, they already took Jalen Carter. Never mind. Okay, back up. I'm going to go Deonte Banks, cornerback, Maryland. You can never have enough corners, and he's a very good one.
By the way, you did make the pick of Jalen Carter, right?
Soren, it is 10:35. I actually have to shout my friend out here. Somebody who listens to the show actually invited me to speak at their school convocation last week. So I was in Vegas on Sunday and Monday. Malcolm Gordon, who's actually a fan of, actually listens to your show. Cool. And you know, they need an academic to speak at their school, and he asked me. So I am a little tired, I will say. But I rallied. I caught my mistake before it came out there, Petro.
All right, I'm proud of you. Good job. That takes us to Jeff Chadiha. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock. Where are the Chargers looking, Jeff? First of all, by the way, let me remind you, Gann Asphalt and Concrete is now hiring for all positions. Our fine sponsor, project manager, dump truck drivers, operators, crew members. Starting pay up to $30 per hour based upon experience. Paid time off, insurance, just to name a few of the benefits. One of Kansas City's fastest growing companies is hiring right now. Call them at 816-484-3338. Find them online, GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. All right, Jeff, back at it. The Los Angeles Chargers at pick number 21 are on the clock. Where are you going for the Bolts?
I loved Bijan Robinson to them, but you took him a long time ago, the top 10 pick. Now I think they go get the receiver, the speed receiver that they need, a guy who can get out there and run and complement Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They stay close to home with Jordan Addison from USC. I think, I think he's quite. I mean, I don't think he's getting enough love in this. I think he's a really good wide receiver. Biletnikoff winner from a couple of years ago. Can play in the slot, can play outside. He's shifty, he's great hands. I think he's easily fits in that offense.
Okay. All right. I like it. I'm on the clock. Baltimore Ravens, quietly, while being a pretty good team, need kind of a little bit of everything there for them. I think there's a lot of directions they could go. Wide receiver, they continue to hunt wide receivers. And I think on this one, they actually get a pretty good one and one that can, do some things for them. I don't know. I'm torn here. There are 2 wide receivers, obviously. Quentin Johnson from TCU, but I think he's on the slide. But I think on the rise is Zay Flowers. And I don't know if he's the perfect fit for Lamar Jackson, but he's the best wide receiver on the board. They've got a good tight end. I think Michael Mayer is starting to look attractive to teams right now as we come through here. They're always a threat to take defense and keep that high, but I'm going to go Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College, to the Baltimore Ravens. They get another weapon. They've already got Odell Beckham Jr. This hopefully will soothe the conversations with Lamar Jackson and help bring him back into the mix. If it won't, it sets up whoever is going to end up quarterbacking this team in the future. Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. Eagles on the clock with the Vikes.
This one is interesting. Jeff, this one's interesting because you could go Hendon Hooker. You could go a number of different players. You took Flowers, Petro. Jeff, who did you take with the Chargers?
Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison, USC, went to the Chargers. Zay Flowers.
And then Zay Flower. Okay, gotcha. Okay. And where's Zay Flowers on this? Okay. How wow. They don't have him high. Okay. That to me, I think the Vikings could go wide.
I reached with Zay Flowers.
I think both of you read. Well, I like Zay a lot more than Jordan Addison, but I understand Jordan Addison to the Chargers on Jeff's end. This is the most clear trade back situation of the entire draft. The Vikings only have 5 picks. Their roster isn't particularly good. They could use a quarterback here, but I don't think Hendon Hooker goes to any of these teams other than Minnesota. So I think they could trade back. But since I have to keep the pick, I'm gonna go. Man, they need so many things here. I'm gonna go Emmanuel Forbes, corner, Mississippi State.
Okay. So the corners are coming off the board a lot here. It's not like they're sliding because everybody knows they can get one later. The way we have it going, they're all coming off the board. So the Vikings, Hendon Hooker, this is the spot where this is the first spot that he could go if he's going to make it into the first round, right? We all agree on that with the Vikings if they wanted to take the project quarterback for the future.
Yeah, I mean, Hooker can go here, but like I think it's a bad value. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Hooker worth a first round pick? I mean, he had good college production, but I don't think he's no.
I think he's a guy that you like getting in the second round, right? But people may want that 5th round because he's going to be hurt. I think that's the that's the dream there. All right, that puts Jeff on the clock. Jeff, you're picking for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Made a nice little turnaround last year. Where are the Jaguars going?
I'm going to get them some help in the secondary and take Brian Branch, safety from Alabama, who actually can play corner, do a little slot corner for you like Tyrann Mathieu did. I think he, look, Alabama DBs can be hit and miss. He's the best safety on the board. This feels more like a best available player pick. I don't think I think I would love to get some help at defensive tackle and take a guy like Brian Brzee from Clemson, but I'm just not sold on him. I think Branch has better value at this slot, so I'll go with him.
All right. I think the board has worked well for the Giants. You mentioned it, the top tight end. For a lot of people, Michael Mayer is still on the board for the Giants. I think they need weapons. They're going to try to make sure that their $40 million a year investment in Danny Dimes ends up looking as good as possible. So they take the tight end from Notre Dame, Michael Mayer, and I think he goes in the first round. Eric, you're not big on tight ends in the first round, but do you agree he will go in the first round?
Yeah, he will go in the first round. This one's interesting, right? Because Quentin Johnston feels like a good Giants pick here, honestly, but Mayer's good too.
Okay.
So we're drafted 2 tight ends in the first round and a running back in the top 10.
Yeah. This
is like the most anti-Petro draft ever.
I don't mind the tight ends. I don't mind the tight ends. Listen, I looked at different things that had Kincaid. There's one guy that's super, super high on Kincaid. I'm like, so I put him there. I probably reached on him, but the Packers, I think a tight end of the Packers isn't unreal. And I definitely think the Giants are going to look to make Daniel Jones look better. So I'm fine with the picks that I've made. Cowboys are up, Eric, at pick number 26.
This one's really, really nice because Dan Quinn is a guy that likes kind of like athletes, up the field players, versatility, and I think Kalia Cansey from Pittsburgh is that guy. So let's go with him.
No, he started to take him.
I had faked you guys, and then he stayed. So
yeah, 6'1".
Oh, that's right.
6'1" D tackles. Is that really his MO?
Well, I mean, he like I said, I think he likes guys that can rush up the field and kind of that 4-3 cover 2 or cover 3 kind of defense. Like I think Cansey kind of is a John Randall hopeful, right? Like that's really what you're looking for here.
Okay. Jeff is back on the board. Jeff now picking for the Buffalo Bills. Everybody's picked to win the championship last year. Didn't get it done. Where are they going?
They are going for another weapon for Josh Allen to throw to because their pass game began to slide in the second half of the season because Gabe Davis was not what they hoped he could be. Isaiah McKenzie was not what he hoped he would be. I agree with you. Quentin Johnston is dropping, and he falls right into the laps of the Buffalo Bills at 27.
He does seem like a Bills kind of pick, to be honest with you. Did he come in smaller and slower? Like
definitely
shorter,
smaller,
lighter. Like he was supposed to be like 6'4", 230.
Yeah.
This beast,
Yeah.
and like, did he drop weight? Was he sick? Do we know how he ended up not being any of the athletic things that he was thought to be coming into this process?
Kind of that Alabama press guy I'd love. You're 2 inches smaller than you really are and 10
Yeah.
pounds lighter.
Yeah.
I don't think he ran great, but he was a good player for TCU.
Yeah. He wins contested
Take
balls,
wins.
that kind of thing. I got the Bengals on the clock now at pick number 28. I think they still need offensive line. I'm not enamored with the tackle spots here. I think they keep. Hang on, I got my depth chart on the Bengals. They did not keep the tight end, redhead.
Aiden Hurst.
Yeah, but they got Irv Smith of that, formerly the Vikings, Alabama.
Oh, it's
But
all
that's-
fixed. Yeah.
Yeah.
No problems there whatsoever. I think tight end would be they would love to have seen one of the tight ends here. I also think wide receivers a little bit more of a sneaky pick. They value it the way they should. And if you look over the horizon, they're not going to keep all those guys, but I don't think they're going to get that here. I think they go to the tackle position and they just pile up on the offensive line. They've already got Orlando Smith, but I think they take Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, goes to the
Bengals.
Bengals. Yeah.
That's good
So
value.
they need to trade Jonah Williams, and like Lyle Collins is hurt. So yeah,
I think Jonah Williams, he played center at Alabama. He played everywhere. He played center, played guard at tackle. I think he's been overmatched. I think if you get him inside, he looks a lot better. And so, and I also, if they are a decent organization, they know Orlando Brown needs to be on the right side.
Yeah.
And I'll say about Anton Harrison, I think he's one of the guys after the top group that maybe has the athleticism to play on the left side. So I think he's a good fit there. All right. The Saints are on the clock.
Yeah, this is one where a player who has fallen, I don't think he's going to fall this far. And this is like a Cameron Jordan, like future kind of replacement guy, but Lucas Van Ness from Iowa.
Yep.
Interior. Like the only issue I had with him is he won more as a 3 and 5 tech than he won as an edge, but this is sort of a good place here.
I think he's a possibility up with the Patriots. I think he's going to go a lot higher than this. I agree with you. And he just kept coming around to where you look at the picks need wise and it doesn't fit. That's why he didn't go in any of our mocks. But I'm with you. I don't think Luka Van Ness is there, and I think he's a guy that Philadelphia and Kansas City would love to be at. They're like, oh my God, we're going to get this guy. They don't. The Eagles are on the clock. The Super Bowl runner-up. Where are you looking now?
Since Eric took the guy I was gonna take, I will go inside where they lost Javon Hargrave. I think those two veteran guys they brought in, and Dominic.
Are we going Mason Blue?
No. I'm going Brian Brzee from Clemson.
Okay.
Yeah. He's not the same kind of player as Hargrave, but he's the best. Some people have him as the second, third best interior lineman out there. Didn't have a great final year at Clemson, but to me, it's more filling a need.
We land on like the most obvious Chiefs pick, apparently, all the time, right?
All right. Well, let's share me your thoughts. Who is the most obvious Chiefs pick?
Well, so like Will McDonald, edge Iowa State, like always seems to be in this spot for them, right?
He does.
Take
go ahead.
The
Jeff.
kid from Kansas State. Who I got a note from their PR guy is a really good dude who pronounce his name for me, Eric.
Well, I had a K-State fan call in and jump me and I would just leave it to Curtis. He says, come on. Yeah. And he said it's basically 4 letters and then Uzama. So he said it's Felix N-U-D-K.
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 Is okay.
He said if you think of it this way, Felix N-U-D-K Uzama. He's a Kansas City kid too, by the way.
Yeah.
So he grew up here, and I should do a better job of that. I think as it hits the Chiefs, I think clearly edge offensive. We talked about it. Edge offensive tackle and wide receiver the spots. The best wide receiver on the board is Jalen Hyatt, maybe of Tennessee. You've got Jonathan Mingo. Cedric Tillman. I don't think any of those guys are looking at saying we have to go there. I think they'll feel like they can get some more wide receivers later. Like the offensive tackle that would fit their needs if they're going to go there is DeJuan Jones, but he's purely a right tackle. on the side, but he's got the attributes. I think they'll look long and hard. I think it comes down to, I'll mention this. Jameer Gibbs' name has been mentioned. They have taken running back in the first round. All right, and Jameer Gibbs as a receiver, like if you're trying, like Jerick McKinnon is not signed, although I think he's a phone call away. But if you're trying to replace that spot or get better at the running back position, I actually think I buy the hype that they are going to look long and hard at Jameer Gibbs. I think if they take Jameer Gibbs, it's after trading down and getting him later on. So at the end of the day, I hate to be boring, but yes, Will McDonald of Iowa State would be the pick. I don't love it. I know a lot of people are really high. What was it you said his game speed? Eric, was what people were high.
Well, we had him as like a top 5 guy in like the history of our database at Sumer, which is pretty good.
But I hear that. Does he make plays though? Does he get to the quarterback?
Yeah, OCU Manure is not a big guy when he played for the Giants, and he wasn't 236, but he was. Not every guy that plays for Spagnuolo was 6'5", 250 with super long arms.
Yeah, I think Amena who plays like the Justin Tuck role, and then you have somebody who kind of plays the, that Umanura role, or even like a Matthias Kiwanuka is more like the kind of like the size thing that this player is, right?
Yeah. All right, so he comes off the board. So now tell me who, as we look at the second round, because the board, everybody sits and spends the night looking at where it is. Who's the guy that are we looking at that's like, oh my God, okay, these are the teams. The first 3, 4, 5 picks in the second round, oftentimes after a day's break, and same thing in the fourth round. A lot of times there'll be trade ups where teams look at it and go, all right, this is the last guy at this, or I can't believe this guy's still sitting there. We got to go make something happen. Who is it?
Who'd you take? Who'd you draft?
I took Will McDonald, D end Iowa State.
Yeah. Well, Gibbs would be in that position, I would think.
I think Darnell Washington's name is going to come off super quick if this falls the way it is. I think Hendon Hooker, if he doesn't.
Hendon Hooker. Yeah.
I think he could slide though. I mean, but the teams that did like Houston, who needs a project at quarterback, I think can be looking at him. But I like Gibbs. I like Washington. I think I was surprised you didn't take Maisie Smith. I've seen him in the first round with some people. I think he could be a guy. Eric, who's the guy that's sitting out there that's the darling as teams are now restacking the board?
Yeah, Mozzie Smith is a guy I really do think that might be somebody that ends up going early. Last year it was Logan Hall. Blanked on his name at the time, but like that's a position where that might be one where people are trying to get a position on him early in the betting markets too. As news leaks out of who's the 32nd pick in this case.
Well, Keon White, he's gonna be sitting in Kansas City in the green room.
Well, and that's the thing. He did get invited the edge for Georgia Tech. I almost feel like they invited him to be the guy that they could tell a story about. Ooh, and it sucked that he's still sitting there. Like they always love to play that up, and all the other guys I think are definitely going to get picked. He's the one that I'm assuming they've got information from somebody on it. But yeah, I think it makes for an interesting. I think it to me doing this exercise shows that there's like 14 guys that are really first round picks this year, 12 to 14, and you're in the same spot from that point on with the guys that you're getting. That's when I've done the mock drafts. That's what I end up coming away thinking. So one of the biggest things I end up coming away thinking. All right, there it is. There's our 31. We'll probably get about 5 right if it went last year. Do you guys want to know some of the highlights of last year's mock draft?
Sure.
Malik Willis, 2 to the Lions.
Well,
from Eric Eager. Jeff had Sauce Gardner to the Jets. Jeff, you got on a roll. I was looking here. You had a number of them fall into the right spot, but we had Malik Willis going 2 to the Lions. That didn't come to fruition. I had George Karlaftis going all the way up at 12 to the Vikings. He didn't go until 30. Let's see some other interesting ones. Sky Moore went 26 to the Tennessee Titans.
Kind of touchdown in the Super Bowl.
George Pickens. I think we did an extra pick so everybody would have another one. Went 33 to the Jags. little higher than he ended up with. Oh, I know what the other one was. Jeff also had Garrett Wilson to the Jets.
Yeah.
Jeff basically nailed the Jets draft last year. Oh, we had Trayvon Walker, who would go number 1, 13.
Who was number 1 then?
Number 1, Aiden Hutchinson. We had going to
Okay.
Jacksonville. Then Malik Willis to the Lions. And so once you drop Malik Willis out of the mix, everything kind of settled back in. I thought that was a little bit easy, but overall,
Sounds like a Chris Jones to the Chicago Bears type trade to me.
Can I also tell you that, Eric, do you remember doubling down on the quarterback spot?
So where did I put Pickett?
No,
6?
Jeff put Kenny Pickett 16 to the Saints, and he went 20 to the Steelers.
So it would have been pick 32. Was it pick 32 to Lions?
Pick number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers take Sam Howell.
Oof.
Sam Howell was favored to be a first-round pick at the time. I will
Was
say
he a
that.
4th rounder? Is that where he wound up?
5th rounder.
5th round. Oh.
Yeah, 5th rounder. Those look like the best ones of the. Oh my crap, we were out there on that one. So yeah, we'll see how we do. I think this year we do a little bit better. I don't see somebody coming from nowhere to go number 1 in this one. The quarterbacks are going to balance it out, make it a little bit easier. All right, there it is. That's our mock draft. Listen, we'll review it all when we get the draft over with next Tuesday. Remember, we stream live when we record the podcast. You can get us on the Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. It's all there. We stream live around 8:45, 9 o'clock Central Time for the Too Deep podcast. Remember, we're brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every single project comes with a written warranty. They've been making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Eric Eager from Sumer Sports, my name is Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Too Deep NFL podcast.